Hi, this is Shu with a review of the Jordan 36. It's a hotly anticipated shoe. The 34 and 35 looked pretty much not much of an upgrade. They seem like a continuation, little tweak. Looked like the version 1.5 of each other, I guess. There were some fatal flaws to the 34s and 35s. The 34s, even though they had a lot of zoom air in it, you had a little bit of a concern because the plate, the Eclipse plate, extended all the way out here on the heel. So the heel was kind of like straightened and firm. So when you land on little or step on little bits of the corners, you would slide or slip. And that happened to many of my friends and myself included. And also because of that angular rigidity, you will not get a smooth heel transition as you land or stride forward. So that was a big downfall of the 34, downside of the 34. The 35, they managed to get rid of that. So the heel had a nice, comfy landing transition and whatnot. But it kind of felt more sunken down. The zoom air, even though they use the same zoom air, maybe it's because of the foam material they used for the 35s. The 35 felt a little bit more rigid than the 34s, especially in the forefoot. It felt like the zoom air was not even there compared to the 34s. At the same time, the Eclipse plate was in the midfoot raised a little bit too high, and it was pinching a lot of people's foot, especially if you don't have a crazy out of this world arch. I have a bit of an arch, and I still had some fatigue issues with that. So now they've solved both those problems in the 36. The Eclipse plate is a lot smaller. It's taking on a form of a little bit of an elevated midfoot plate. There is no plastic plate on the edges to hinder your contact area with the floor, and it's soft. The foam, I don't know what kind of foam they use, but the foam is fairly soft, and it provides a nice smooth gliding transition. It's like the 34s without the necessary Eclipse plate. And on the forefoot, the cushioning is good as well because they have a zoom strobel. And one thing about the zoom strobel is that for the earlier versions like the Zoom Universe or the KD 12s and the 13s, the zoom air was naked. So what you saw right underneath the insole was a zoom air unit exposed. So the downside to that is because you have this adhesive plastered insole with a little bit of a concave or a cavity area to make sure the insole cups and sticks to the zoom air unit. What happens is with friction and with abrasion, you have a danger of risking I guess the integrity of the zoom air because it's just one-to-one contact with the insole. The change they made to make some improvements there was with the PG 4s and 5s when it had a full air strobel instead of a zoom, but the air sole was covered with a nice little fabric layer that actually helped to even things up. At the same time, provide a little bit of a protection from just being raw, naked, and exposed to the elements provided by the insole. So they have that, a nice little layer of fabric there. Another nice part about this is that it's there and it's stitched all around. So if you were to have an insole to stick there without the cavity, it actually works better than something that has just naked zoom and that it's just plastic on plastic. There's going to be no friction in between, so you might end up slipping and hurting yourself. So yeah, regardless, they did put a lot of adhesives in the insole. The cavity is there. It's sort of like a Ortholite, but a little bit shelled and starchy on the outer layer, kind of like an upgrade of the Kobe 6 insole, where he said, "I want a shoe that mows to my foot." This KD13's cavity insole was actually pretty soft, and KD14 was a little bit firmer, and you could feel the rigidity and the difference of the thickness on the toe area. But they stuck with something more similar to the KD13, so I'm grateful for that. Good job on Nike and the Jordan brand. In terms of fit, if you notice some of the recent Nike models like the Zion 1s and the Zoom Freak 2, you would notice that the fit kind of goes like really sharp and angular towards the center. So you feel the toe area and the pinky toe area feeling a little bit squinged and squished. So I would suggest if you had the sensation with Zoom Freak 2 or Zion 1, you need to go up at least half the size. Personally, I did too. But if you have a really narrow foot that fits nicely with the KD, the Zoom Freak 2s or the Zion ones, then you can go true to size with the Jordan 36 as well. The upper material is super breathable. It's basically all transparent mesh, as you can tell. It's very breathable, and that's good. The fit, in terms of the toe box area, as you can see, there's no crazy dead space like some of the unfortunate models we see nowadays. So that's a nice little fit. So even if the lace loop starts a little bit higher, it's not a big concern because this toe box area is not going to let you have like crazy toe wriggle space that provides a level of insecurity. So nice job with the fit there in terms of on the part of Nike. The heel area, there's a firm heel cup that gets the job done, but you might have to worry about heel slippage depending on the size or shape of your foot. There's very little padding here, and the cavity is not shaped in a way that it hugs or clutches your heel, so you probably want to try this on to see if there's going to be heel slippage issues. Never as bad as the Harden 5s, of course. Nothing comes close to the Harden 5s in terms of a heel slippage. But the lace loop, thanks to everything being stitched up nicely to accommodate or rather provide a little bit of an extra lockdown, that should help. But do purchase them. This is actually a plastic TPU piece that runs all the way from this heel area to here, so that should provide some additional lockdown. But again, I would advise you to lace them up, try them on, and see if you feel any heel slippage or not, if you're going to purchase them for hooping, for performance wear. And the forefoot Zoom Air, it's bottom loaded, and it's good because you don't feel there's a double layer of Zoom Air on the forefoot, but you feel that extra tiny level of comfort. It feels like the Zoom Strobel transitions nicely. I think that it's nicely elevated in the heel, as you can tell by the extra layer of foam before you see the Zoom Strobel. So although it's not crazy elevated, there's no significant heel to toe drop, but there is a level of heel to toe drop that is different from the KD13s, where you felt the heel kind of sink and really angular and square, and you feel like the only thing separating your foot from the floor was just the tip of the Zoom Strobel. So compared to that, this is a significant improvement. Even compared to the KD14s, it feels like the heel is a little bit more elevated than the Zoom Strobel and the foam combination of the KD14s. On the forefoot, the Zoom Air unit is there to provide that extra crash pad, but at the same time, you don't feel wobbly like what you felt with, let's say, some of the recent models with double Zoom Air on the forefoot that felt a little bit insecure. Well, so yeah, it's there, it's low to the ground, and it works, and you can feel it. That's the upside to it. The outrigger, it's not really prominent, but it's similar to what I felt with the KD14s. It's got a soft midsole, so you feel it squishing a little bit as you trip or you approach close to a possible injury point, but because of the squishiness, it actually provides a bit of a break and a stoppage to prevent you from rolling your ankle over. Sort of what I felt with the KD14 with that midfoot chunk area there. It actually had that break that comes on a little bit later, but sufficient enough to prevent ankle rollover injury. So that is good. It's the outsole pattern is very similar to what you saw in the Cosmic Unity, and if you try the Cosmic Unities, the durability is an issue, although they used the recycled material, so maybe that is it. But the threads are very thin and a little bit more wider compared to the 34s and 35s. I feel like the 34s had a bit better traction and a bite compared to the 36. The 36 is not dust sensitive, but it's not exactly providing the bite that you want, like what you would get from a Kobe 9 or a PG 5. But I would say it's comparable to the KD14, except it's KD14 is kind of dust sensitive, but this is more like, even if it's not dust sensitive on clean courts, you might not have that bite. You will have that stop and a bit of a slide, especially on the ridges here. I wish they would have had a different pattern or a deeper pattern. So if you're a person who does a lot of shifty side-to-side movements and need a lot of traction, make sure you try this and see if actually it bites well before you purchase them. So the homage or tribute to the Jordan 6, because it's a 36, is this tongue area. It's very similar to the ones that used in the 6. At a glance, it doesn't look anything like the 6, but this is supposed to be that tribute to the Jordan 6, and they have the Jordan with the Air logo here, what they used in the 36, and this little opening area here is kind of like what's reminiscent of the two holes they had in the tongue area for the Jordan 6. I wish they would use this for the tongue. That would make more sense. Why put it here? Doesn't make any sense. Just so that you can see the number 36 there, that this is a 36 Air Jordan. The heel tab, I don't know what this is. I mean, it's a good continuation of the plastic fastening, I suppose you could call it a mechanism, if you could call it. But what's this for? To scratch your own leg or something? But anyway, this Nike Air logo is a nice touch, because after the Jordan 6, the Jordan shoes stopped using the Jordan Air stitching, Nike Air stitching. They just put the Jordan Jumpman logos from 7 onwards. So those are some of the tributes to the original Jordan 6. For size 9.5, the shoe weighs about slightly more than 370 grams, and it actually feels lighter than what the digits show. So that's definitely a plus. It's a really light feeling shoe. I mean, less than 400 grams for a size 9.5 is already pretty light, but there goes another shoe succumbing to gravity. Yeah, so it's super lightweight, super breathable. Cushioning wise, it's a way better upgrade compared to the 34s and 35s. The price point is a bit of an issue, but I know Nike will continue to print out more colorways, low cuts, and whatnot, and the price will continue to plummet. And the 35s are selling for like 60% off these days. So if you have the time, give it some time. If you really want it, go ahead and pay full price. But if you have a regular vendor, I'm sure they'll be able to provide you with some good discounts with so many colorways coming up. This is a good upgrade for the Jordan main Jordan line. Looking for 37 already, or the low version.